Hi, you've tuned into CKUW 95.9 FM here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I'm the host, Tammy Wolf of Truth Before Reconciliation. I'm really glad to be here today with my guest, Jonathan Henderson. He is actually the Vice President of the External Affairs at the University of Winnipeg, and we're going to have a conversation this week regarding truth and reconciliation, in lieu of Reconciliation Week here. September 30th this week, Thursday, is actually the day that we recognize Truth and Reconciliation, Orange Shirt Day, hence I'm wearing an orange shirt today. So I'd like to welcome you, Jonathan. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Tammy. It's an honor and a privilege to be on here, and yeah, thank you.
I thought maybe, I know I did mention that you're the Vice President of External Affairs at the University of Winnipeg, but I thought maybe if you want to just do a little bit of introduction of who you are, and then maybe we can have a conversation about truth and reconciliation and your perspectives.
Yes, yeah, as you mentioned, I'm the Vice President of External Affairs. I'm in my second term here at the UWSA, and I've got my 3-year Bachelor of Arts in Indigenous Studies. I'm currently working on my 4-year BA in conflict resolution. I'm also Anishinaabe from Saugeen First Nation. Very proud to represent Saugeen, and always got to give them props. And you know how that is amongst us Indigenous folks. We always got to show our pride. Yes, so especially amongst us students, Indigenous students in Winnipeg, we always show our pride and amongst each other in classrooms, and that's awesome though. A little bit more about me as well too. I'm actually a co-founder of Healing Together, which is a men's group that has met every Sunday for the last 2.5 years, and that has been going strong. And that again is about helping men heal and overcoming that toxic masculinity that has resulted as a result of colonialism. And yeah, just love to be involved in the community as much as I can. And that's why I love the job that I do with the University of Winnipeg Student Association. And that's my job, is to be out and creating new partnerships within the community and working with the government as well. And advocating on behalf of students. So it's been amazing.
Well, thank you for that, Jonathan. Yeah, definitely. You've touched on a couple other things that you do in the community. I would love to have you and Ryan Beardy, who is the other co-founder of Healing Together. I've been watching that for the last couple of years here. I don't know if anybody out there, for the listeners out there, have seen the great work that's been happening there. There's been a couple news stories on that group, just some really, really great work being done. And I mean, really tying it to the conversation that we're having here today. I wanted to start, with your idea or your perspectives on truth and reconciliation. So I know that we are seeing a lot of those impacts of colonization that you mentioned. And so, I mean, I guess broadly, what do you think? What do you think about truth and reconciliation and where we're at currently?
Yeah, and that's the thing about truth and reconciliation. It affects us all differently and where we're at in terms of what is reconciliation. And for myself, it goes back to the understanding of the history, the true history of what our people faced, and uncovering those truths. And that's what's happening with a lot of these graves being uncovered throughout Canada and all these residential school sites. And it's not like that truth hasn't been there. It's just it's being acknowledged now. But we all, as Indigenous people, we all knew that it was already there. That truth is there, and that's it's sad that it has come down and it's taken this long for those truths to be honored and recognized. And even then, there's still a lot more work that needs to be done. I feel that it's not recognized to the level that it should be. But like I said, for everybody's our own path, and like for myself, both my parents are survivors of that residential school system, but that isn't. But I felt a generational impact myself too, and that's what people that haven't, not Indigenous people that aren't impacted. Well, everybody's impacted on the say that. I don't want to say that not everybody, that nobody's impacted by this, but everybody's impacted in some way, shape, or form. But for Indigenous people, you know that these are lived experiences that we go through, and that we feel that generational traumatic trauma impact on ourselves. And for myself, it was education that actually opened my eyes, and that's what I encourage to a lot of people is educate yourself. Take the time to read the TRC report if you want to know and understand what we are dealing with as Indigenous people. Go out there and educate. Talk to elders. Talk to people that have been through it. For myself, I have no problem sitting down and talking to somebody, sharing my perspectives and what I've been through, and what education and knowledge that I have gained. Like I said, growing up urbanized in the city. When my parents had me, they moved from Off Reserve to the city of Winnipeg here to protect me from that residential school system, and also not only from the system, but the effects that are felt in the communities. There are deep effects that are within our communities, and that was the way that they showed more love than they could ever have by protecting me moving to the city. But also that resulted in me losing my culture as well, and my connection to my culture and my community. But it's throughout the years that I've regained that, and also what my parents always encouraged me to go back to university, and that was that true blessing for me finally getting over my stubbornness. And also when I think back, there was a lot of anger being a young Indigenous man, not knowing where I was, facing racism, and not understanding the true nature of, why I'm being called these certain things, why I'm being put down, and just trying to fit in society when you don't feel like that you don't feel like you fit in anywhere, and you're lost, and you don't have that cultural knowledge of who you really are, and gaining that has really brought my balance back into my life. And education was a huge part of coming back to school. Was like, that's what I always encourage all I use to make sure that I really understand that full impact of what education means, and how that's going to help us overcome a lot of the stuff that we face as Indigenous people.
For sure. I mean, I can't say anything more, impactful than education. Being a teacher, being in education myself. I'm now teaching courses at the university. Education is the way, right? I can't thank you enough for kind of spreading that message some more here on the show. That's why I do this show. I feel like not only for Indigenous people, right, like ourselves included in that, going back to school and learning more about the impacts and looking to ourselves, but I mean, for those allies, for those non-Indigenous people, to pick up a book or to, front page news, to me, like to see the residential schools be on the front page of the newspaper was just like, I couldn't believe it. Like the day I saw it, I'm at Safeway and I saw it on the front page. I'm like, what a day to be alive, to see this actually coming full face in front of everybody. Like nobody can turn around and say, I didn't know about this anymore, right? Because it's on the front page of the news. It was actually 2 days in a row, I think, when they did find the mass grave of the children in Kamloops. And just to hear, another fellow Indigenous person say that education is the way for us. I know, I also just had a conversation about, ceremony and Indigenous, Indigenous ways of knowing, like trying to really find who we are as Indigenous people, right? And I mean, I kind of feel like that really goes into that truth aspect. I know that you had mentioned that your family is personally impacted. Did you want to elaborate a little bit more on that or talk deeper? I know that you said that you had just lost your mother as well. And I mean, for myself, I'm impacted by 60 Scoop. So it's ingrained within us, right? And so how do you feel as an Indigenous person moving forward in regards to reconciliation? How do you feel that impacts even deeper for you?
Well, like I mentioned, education was key for unlocking a lot of the knowledge and truth behind why my parents were the way they were. And
right.
It was very difficult when I was being educated on these stuff. I took part of my Indigenous studies BA. I took 3 courses that were about the residential schools, so I can start to understand that. And then it was very, very deep and very emotional, very hard to go through these courses. Like,
Right.
it wouldn't be out of place to have a lot of students leaving the classroom in tears at times, or for it to be so deep that you would have to go to the classroom at times to kind of get a breath and kind of get refocused, because there is a lot of harsh realities with what our loved ones, our parents, our ancestors went through, what they suffered. It's unimaginable. And then for you to read these stuffs, and then for me to open up these conversations with my parents, you see the pain in their eyes right away when you see them, when they have these, you can tell that they're reliving experiences. But it was important for me to talk to them and breach the subject with them. And that was part of my healing also. I think it was very healing for my parents as well. And they mentioned that to finally talk to me on that level and kind of see let them know that they have had their own ways of healing, but they also start talking about like just being out in public triggers, like a certain smell could trigger something, and it would bring them back to these very horrible places. And for myself, it's very important that I've learned this history, that I understand where my parents come. It helped me understand how I am as well, in terms of the healing journey that I'm on, and why I make choices in my life that weren't the best choices, but also I think I needed to live those experiences as well, because that's going to help me help others overcome obstacles as well in their healing journeys, and point them into a certain direction that they need to, in order to heal in a healthy way. Because people, obviously, we see in our community that people choose those negative pathways, and it does affect them in very bad negative ways, as we can see with the crisis amongst hard drugs on the streets right now, and suicide amongst our people. And obviously this is where you see where these harsh issues really impact our people in negative ways. But I think through this education that we are having, we're now in our students are strengthening ourselves. And education is not even within the classroom. I think that's one thing too that we have to let our youth and our people know, that education is also through our ceremonies, on the land. Land-based teachings are very important for us to start reclaiming that culture, start reclaiming that pride amongst our own people. And I was invited to a classroom that was based in the lodge at the Forks yesterday. What a beautiful setting for a classroom, and the teaching that provided within those settings. Like he mentioned a couple times, you'll never get this type of experience within the walled up classroom. And that's one thing that I always encourage you guys, go out and be around ceremony. If people want to, for those that are listening as well, that want to help and participate, over at the Forks, the Migizi Wazizan. Now my Anishinaabe is a little rough there, but
English speakers.
Yes, that's my colonized side still. Again, that's my next path in my journey, is like strengthening my knowledge of the language too. That's one of the things that I know is very important, is that language is very key as well too, but also understanding our way of thinking and behind that language. But also, getting back to the helping out in the community, the Eagle Nest Sacred Fire, which is located on the east side of the legislative building, and they've been going on since the first initial graving sites at Kamloops were found.
Uncovered, yes.
And they plan to go until all the sites are found throughout Canada. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be there for a long time. And it's amazing the people that have worked at that camp. Shauna Pelquin, who is part of our UWSA as well, community liaison director. She's been there right from the start, and I can't compliment her enough on the hard work that she's done to raise awareness on this issue regarding the residential school system.
So if people want to help out, are they having like fire keepers come and volunteer? Are they needing wood? Like, what are some of the things that people out there can help out with in regards to that?
Yes, they have a website there. I believe it's the Eagles Nest Sacred Fire Camp. Also, I can,
On Facebook? Mm-hmm.
yeah, Facebook and Instagram. I know their Instagram page is the Migizi Wazizan word that they use, which means Eagles Nest. And yeah, they always have posts. They always need medicines. They have fire keeper shifts. They're always looking for volunteers to come help with the fire, obviously
Awesome.
with wood. Um, if you guys want to add me as well on Facebook, Jonathan Henderson, I always share the updates that they share to share within the community. And yeah, so I always make sure that I'm sharing whatever they need, and I also obviously will make as much donations as I can, whatever I can as well too.
Nice. And then I'll get that information from you, and I'll also post it on the Truth Before Reconciliation Facebook page. So I guess kind of moving towards the end of the show here, closer to the second half of the show, I'm wondering about the events that are happening on campus for the University of Winnipeg. So students, staff, what's going on there for anybody who's interested in helping out or participating, viewing what's going on at University of Winnipeg this week?
Okay, yes, yeah, we were gonna have we have events planned throughout Truth and Reconciliation Week. Day one, which will be Monday, at 12:30 at the Quad, where we had our roll call event held this year. We will be having a opening prayer by an elder, as well as a pipe ceremony, and then a drum group as well for that opening day. And then at 5 o'clock later on that day, Shauna Peliquin will be having a land back themed workshop over on Zoom. And then Tuesday, Cameron Adams at 5 o'clock will be leading a workshop regarding language and the importance of language to our culture and for our people and students. And then Wednesday, I believe it's at 11 or 11:30. I'm not. I'll confirm that with the schedule. I'll send you. But we are giving away 250 more shirts to our students. Every
Nice.
Child Matters shirts. And yes, we'll be having a smudging station there. So for those that are interested in learning how to smudge and stuff, we'll have that going. And obviously, we're going to smudge every shirt.
And this is on campus.
Yeah, this will all be at the Quad on campus.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then Thursday, obviously, with the university is closed, but we will be promoting the powwow at St. John's Park at 1 o'clock, and encourage all our students to go participate in that. And we are still working on trying to finalize there was supposed to be a walk from the Human Rights Museum at 11 o'clock going to that powwow, but I haven't had anything confirmed yet. So I'm not too sure if that walk is still going on. But again, with students, if you're interested in up-to-date stuff, check out obviously our social media webpage on Instagram and Facebook, the UWSA Facebook and Instagram, and we'll be posting updates there. And then Friday, we will be finishing off with a sharing circle and elder knowledge transfer over at the Sacred Fire, at the Eagles Nest Sacred Fire. And
Nice.
we'll also be finishing off with a feast as well from the Feast Bistro. So we're going to be promoting the bistro. And if anybody's had their food, yeah, you know, their chili is amazing, and we'll be having chili
And their Indian tacos. Just a big smile on my face because I want one of those Indian tacos from the feast. They're bad.
Oh yeah. If you ever had the squash cakes for breakfast, they're amazing too.
I have not. I haven't tried everything on.
Yeah.
The powwow taco is what my favorite is. So if you have not, the Feast Bistro Cafe, that place, it's on Ellis and is it Maryland or Sherbrooke? Sherbrooke and Ellis, right on the corner there. So, and you said that's gonna be on campus, or that's gonna be at Eagles Nest?
No, the Friday will be at the Eagles Nest. Yeah.
Awesome.
And for every workshop too, we'll be having a little Indigenous prize too. So just to encourage students to participate, get that little bit of an engagement, because it's been pretty tough during the pandemic to get engagement over Zoom. I think everybody's
Oh
just
my goodness, for sure.
anxious to have in-person meetings and in-person events.
Mhm.
You know, I'm anxious myself to start having more in-person student events as well too.
For sure.
But hopefully we'll see you guys over at the Sacred Fire. It's a start. It's not a huge event, but still we'll be able to see people and be around that positive energy at the fire on that Friday.
Definitely, for sure. So this week, Friday at Eagle's Nest, periodically throughout the week, there's going to be events. I will be updating that information as well on the Truth Before Reconciliation page on Facebook. So for those of you who want to see it in print, I will have that up on the page. I guess we are closing in on the end of the show. So I always close the show with suggestions. So I know that you've already given a great bunch of suggestions. You know, you can attend the powwow, you can attend the fire, but in regards to moving truth and reconciliation forward, what would be your suggestions for the listeners out there to get involved? But besides this week, just this week, which is Reconciliation Week, for the future?
Yeah, already had a lot of great suggestions, but again, just definitely maybe take out a book and read and hold it that is written by an Indigenous author that has maybe even a history of that residential school system there. I know on our website we promote some books that our directors share. I know one of my favorite books growing up was April Raintree.
My favorite book.
Yeah. So that was my first experience of what the impacts and stuff really means, and that deeper level of how it affects us is, you know, through these readings and that education. So I just encourage people to read a book and get that deeper understanding, especially if they're non-Indigenous. If you want to learn more, just take that time to read and educate yourself.
So great, Jonathan. Honestly, I definitely think we need to connect again in the future, because definitely on the same page with all of the suggestions, education being the way, picking up a book. As you can see, this is probably like 0.03% of my library collection. Lots of books to read out there by so many Indigenous authors. April Raintree is like my favorite book of all times. I remember reading that book at 12 years old and really seeing a lot of parallels between those characters. Me and my sister were raised in the child welfare system, and that's really one of the main themes throughout that book. I actually taught that book in my grade 9 class as well to students, Indigenous people who had never read it before. So I can't echo that suggestion enough. Pick up a book from an Indigenous author. You know what? That's actually a good suggestion. I think I might even upload a list of books for people to read on the TRB Truth Before Reconciliation page. So I did want to thank you so much for coming and sharing your insight as well as your great suggestions, Jonathan. So thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, and then in closing, I just want to say too, for all those students, faculty, staff that are out there listening, we are all affected by this in our own ways. And next week is going to be very heavy for a lot of us. And make sure you take that time for self-care and self-love to make sure that you are looking after yourself too, because we're all still healing from this. And take that time to make sure that your health is and that self-care and love is definitely there present for next week, because it is going to be really heavy for a lot of us. And to make sure we have those supports and make sure that if you need to reach out for support too, don't be afraid to reach out, because a lot of us sometimes we can be a little tentative about reaching out for that help, but please don't hesitate during these tough times.
For sure, definitely. I'm actually going to plug a couple places for those of you who are seeking. If you do need supports, Aurora offers counseling services. Clinic with a K offers support services, as well as Iakeen, which is located on Notre Dame. They're a great Center for Support, which is traditionally based. And then also reach out to your elders, reach out to your family, reach out to your sisters, your cousins, your aunties, your uncles, all those people there. It takes a village, right? So thank you again so much, Jonathan, Jonathan Henderson. I'm so glad to have you here today. Hopefully get you on again and we can talk about healing together. So thanks so much for tuning in today. You are still listening to Truth Before Reconciliation with Tammy Wolf on CKUW 95.9 FM here in Winnipeg. Please come back next week. We will be having another great guest on to talk about October 4th, which is the provincial day that we honor and recognize our missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit people. So thanks so much for tuning in, and we will hopefully catch you guys next time.